articulate this even to myself, and had I been able to, I would most likely have elected not to. As a child, I was considered strange enough, no need for further ammunition. It was only when years later I went to university and studied African cultures that I learned about the centrality of ancestral veneration, that ancestral spirits were intentionally invoked. On my paternal side, I am Yoruba. The Yoruba are the largest ethnic group in southwestern Nigeria and the third biggest in Nigeria, Africa's most populous country. Many Yoruba were sold into slavery, particularly during the 19th century. As a result of this relatively recent wide-scale movement, many Yoruba beliefs, practices, and customs can be identified to this day throughout the New World. During the 1980s and 1990s, a more recent Yoruba diaspora was created as Nigerians fled their tragically failing economy to migrate to countries such as the US and the UK. One result of colonialism was a disregard for many Yoruba beliefs. Therefore, it was only at university that I learned that traditional Yoruba concepts of time were more cyclical and of the belief that the past is not necessarily dispensed with, but is in fact in dialogue with the future. I discovered that Yoruba names such as Babatunde, father comes again, and Yetunde, mother comes again, are so common because of an indigenous belief in the transmigration of the soul. This invocation of the past, like the Ghanaian philosophical concept Sankofa, which urges us to take from the past to design a better future, does not limit progress or place emphasis on doing things the old way. On the contrary, improvement is the objective, the urge to ensure that the mind be better in my mouth than in the mouth of my ancestors. It is believed that our successes are our great successes too. Finally, I could locate my experiences in a belief system where they made perfect sense. Received Western wisdom routinely denigrates African history. The attitude was summed up by the esteemed historian Hugh Trevor Roper in his famous 1963 address at Sussex University, which was broadcast on national television, as well as being published both in a popular periodical and as a book. Perhaps in the future there will be some African history to teach, but at present there is none, or very little. There is only the history of Europeans in Africa. The rest is largely darkness, like the history of pre-European, pre-Columbian America. And darkness is not a subject for history. Assessed through a biased Eurocentric framework, perhaps this is the case. Yet, if we shift the optic, we begin to realise, in the words of Nigerian Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, that the darkness so readily attributed to the dark continent may yet prove to be nothing but the willful cataract in the eye of the beholder. And in banishing that darkness, I am far more interested in how African peoples understood themselves and their cultures, in examining their methods for telling and documenting their lives, than I am in attempting to situate them through a European lens that proposes universality but is inherently culturally specific. We should remember that communication and learning in oral society are not limited to the spoken word. Complex non-verbal languages are part of the milieu. Take, for example, the bata, or talking drum, as it is translated into English. Echoing the tonal patterns of Yoruba, the bata literally speaks. Were the British colonialists unable to decipher what the drum said, illiterate too? Or is the term one we only apply to primitive peoples? The Anglo-Ghanaian philosopher Kwame Anthony Appiah describes African hairstyling as a subtle interplay of the sociological and the aesthetic. As a practice, hairstyling has much to offer and opens up excitingly decolonized possibilities for better understanding the African past in order to shape a better collective future. In terms of my early attempt at decolonization, the freedom demonstrated by the Equiano project was sadly not to be repeated. I think it was permitted on this occasion primarily because it kept me out of the way. Until the late 1990s, being Black and Irish in Ireland was to have almost unicorn status. Except everybody loves unicorns. There has not been a significant Black population in Ireland for very long. When I was growing up, there were very few of us indeed. Many mixed-race people I met, certainly those who were any older than me, had grown up in institutions. They were often the quote-unquote illegitimate offspring of Irish women and African students. Not to put too fine a point on it, but unmarried mothers were generally in Ireland treated like scum.